Hey everybody, I'm Cinnamon Cooney, Art Sherpa, and today I'd like to show you how to paint a really friendly little koi with a lily pad swimming. On the mic, he's my husband, John.
Hi guys.
He's going to be tracking with cameras, making sure that our robotic camera is really zoomed in so you can see the full picture frame, the mixing, and of course the up-close shots that you need to see when you're doing watercolor lessons like that. Now, I'm going to explain every single step. My whole point is trying to make these as beginner friendly as watercolors can possibly be. Let's talk a little bit about the materials that we're going to be using for today's video. So I have a watercolor block here. This is a block of paper. The sheets are affixed together and they have a little keyhole opening that you can use like a butter knife or something to remove the sheet. This allows you to do very wet applications onto your paper and not have it buckle so much that you can't use it without having to pre-stretch your paper first. That's the whole purpose of it. And then it stretches as it dries. I have an old, some of you may not know what this is, but most of you probably should. I have a CD cover here that I've added a little tape handle to, and that's going to help me make my nice circles for my lily pad. And I have a little bit of a pencil so I can sketch some small line, but this isn't drawing heavy. And of course, we have a Traceable. Those are now on the website, so you can go get those. And the little watercolor vertical format videos, those are all going to be on the website too, so they're going to be searchable really soon. Isn't that right, Don?
That's right.
Okay. So first, I'm going to tell you my colors. We have yellow deep, permanent yellow deep. We have a naphtha red light. We have a quinacridone magenta. I have a marine blue. This is sometimes called a phthalo turquoise. I have phthalo blue. I have a burnt sienna, a yellow ochre, and I have a Payne's gray. All right, so those are the colors I'm using, but you could change these up a little bit and still get a good result. I'm going to place my CD down and very lightly. This is just a regular pencil. I mean, it says 6B, but you could use an HB or anything. I just get these in packs because I love these pencils. And I'm very lightly going to trace around this circle to create my lily pad. Now, in the center, I do feel like I'm probably going to want a flower. So I'm going to go right here and make a very funny sort of little wiggly shape. That's going to be the yellow. And then you're going to want to make your basic leaf shape all around the lily pad. Okay, they don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be the most epic little leaf shapes you've ever made in your life. They just need to be general because you're getting used to this process, right? Some of this is about the process. Between these, I'm going to add little corner leaves. But again, guys, look, this is going to have a traceable. So if you don't draw, don't be, too worried about it. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is put in the teardrop shape that is my fish. And very lightly, I'm going to make a curved line. And it's going to be a little bit of an S curve, so that it's going to go back and then boom to the tail. And that's going to let me make the fish. Now, the front of the nose is a little bit blunt. And then I'm going to be bringing this back almost like a tear shape into the body. So it's really not so much drawing like what you think of. It's more about getting the sense of that. I'm going to bring a little fin line back. And off the top, I might also bring a little bit of a fin down there. And I'm going to curl the fin back that way. So that's all I'm going to have to do for that. It's not any more involved than that at this stage. Now, the first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to paint in my fish. So I'm going to get a number 8. I think I'll get this number 8. I'm going to get a number 8 round. This is black velvet. I'm going to dip in the water. I'm going to come over here to my yellow ochre. And I'm going to get a very nice little wash going. See how I'm dipping and creating a light pigmented wash? Go ahead and get a little of your quinacridone, just a smidge, and pink up this wash. And just very lightly, your whole fish, this little wash. It's like a little pinkish wash. Probably you can barely see it on the camera.
Oh yeah, just barely.
Barely, right? I like to give John lots of challenging camera problems to work with. Just so he can feel like, oh goodness, like he's really got a lot to deal with.
Well, we can just barely see it. So as long as that's all that's there.
It's all that's there. And you want to barely see it too. It should be barely visible to your eye. Now you can see I've made a little bit more of a salmon color. And I'm going to come right here and continue to sort of lightly blend this in. So right now I'm using Holbein watercolors, and that is important to you just so that you know that I'm telling you everything I'm using and how I'm getting this done. It's a really amazing watercolor company. They produce incredible color, and they're one of my very, 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 very favorites. I'm going to bring a little bit of that pink back for a fin, just lightly. I'm going to come over this side and do the same. Oh, I got a little more yellow on there, but I'm not going to panic. I'm just going to soften it with my water. See how that does?
Oh, yeah.
And that'll pull right up. And a lot of people don't realize that there's this sort of do-over in watercolor that you can get to. This doesn't even hurt me because that's the shape I was going for. So it's just like, okay, I'll just make sure that you're like that, and I'll fix you later. Now, while this is having a little bit of a dry, I'm going to come over and very carefully paint around my little flower. Just painting around, because I'm going to start putting in a little green for the lily pad. This isn't going to be a super complicated watercolor. And what I mean by complicated is several glazing layers and several layers of brisket. That's when watercolors get complicated. And it's not that they're not super understandable, it's that there's a lot of drying time and patience involved. But this is going to be a very loose, informal watercolor that you can do with very little painting experience. Just following along. See how I'm making all that lily pad just a little bit wet, but leaving the leaves not painted? So now I'm going to take maybe a little of my phthalo blue, even a little of my marine blue, and I'll get some of my firm yellow. I'll come over here, and that's going to make me a nice green, and I'll go ahead and just brush this around the outer edge.
Oh, that's really cool.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Going around the outer edge. Let me get this a little more green, and to get it a little more green, I just add more yellow. And I'm very carefully going to paint around my petals. And this is going to soften. All the colors are going to soften into each other because we're painting wet on wet. So that's something that's real common in several paintings that you might hear, like it, you can paint wet on wet in oils, you can paint wet on wet in watercolor.
Interesting.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, just, I don't know a lot about these
I
things.
love that you think it is, because sometimes I'm saying something and I'm like, I am the only person that would think that this is interesting.
No, it's like, I really think all this is really cool. So, and I like watercolor.
I do. It's really nice. I got a little bit of yellow, more yellow on there. And see how that's just warming up the lily pad?
Very travel friendly.
It is probably my most travel friendly medium. It's also the best for urban sketching, I think. Because I can't imagine taking my watercolors off.
I'm excited to try the gouache.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you excited to try the gouache?
Yeah, it's like, because it has more opaque qualities to it. Mm-hmm. So,
we could pull some out to do some white reflections on this if you wanted to see how it does.
Well, if you'd like to.
Let's see how we are at the end. That's how we do it. So I've got that sort of like left out. Now in the center, I'm going to put my little water here, and I'm going to get a lot of yellow. And I'm just going to come right in the center and let that just be yellow. Just yellow. A bright, bright yellow. Now at this point, my Mr. Fissy Fizz is pretty dry, and so I can start adding some little thoughts or scales in there. I'm going to take my yellow and my red together and make kind of an orange. And I like let's make a red head. So I'm going to just bring a little line here. Every time you do a fish, you can change the patterns. And that's what makes these koi valuable. Is their pattern. Okay. A little bit right there. Oh, and I can take some orange on this side. I'm going to darken. See how I've set her darken there? So I'm going to just lean into that and make sure that my scales are a little bit darker right here, right?
Yeah.
I can soften this a bit if I want to. And get a little more of my color in there. It's gonna do a lot. All right, now we can make any patterns that we want, and I think I'm going to continue forward with my yellow and that, and maybe on this side I will make a little yellow. That's always sort of fun to create that sense of color in the water. After that tail could have a little bit of color. Good. And we can even bring that up into that fin that was already a little bit darker. Look at that. That helps that work out. As if, oh yeah, that's what we should totally have. Is, you know, something a little darker. Now I'm going to take a little micronacridone and a little bit of this red. And I'm going to mix them together. And I'm going to just model up some of this. Maybe even a little bit right there. And see, it's just bleeding out, blending out, looming out, they say, into the space. This is a little different than how I do this in acrylic. It's still one of my favorites. And I am going to let this have another dry. And now I'm going to have some fun. It's having a little bit of a dry because I'm going to come over here and I'm going to get everything really wet, like you do. I'm going to avoid the wet spots of my little fish a little bit. I don't mind if it touches some. Some is okay. I may even brush lightly back into the tail. Because again, some is okay. And I'm going to get my phthalo blue and my marine blue. Is the phthalo turquoise, and just come in and add a little pigment to the water. It's just women. I can brush this back here so the tail isn't interfered with. Yeah, I'm using the brush stroke, curving that and pulling that in.
Yeah.
Right over. Brushing right into that little fin. Come and get a little bit of a darker color right here. And so this is letting me get some water motion going. That's really fun for me. It's just real pretty. It's just real light. It's just real pretty. We're just going. And I'm going to go around my pad here. Around this. And come up here very carefully around him. But it's okay, again. He can be in the water. It's really an interesting thing how it's all right for our little fellow to be part of the water. Be part of that. I'm going to definitely dip this into that bin and make sure that I am swished. Now let's get some really loaded marine. Go ahead and just brush this like that so that there's some water motion, which I really like. Come on the edge of my brush around my pad. And darkening that. Just using my brush to keep that base, but letting it blend into the wetness of the water. And where it's not inclined to, all I've got to do is just add a little water here and it'll just flow out. Never trapped, never in a corner. And because this is a very loose, free piece, it leaves me a lot of room for my expression in my water. What I'm wanting to do and what I'm wanting to have. And the way that these things present there. So while all this is having a little rest and thinking about its watery nature, Because that's what I leave them to do, John. I leave them to think about themselves.
Hmm.
I'm going to get a little of my yellow. A little of my quinacridone. Understand, this is about a week's worth of paint that I put out here, so you can see it. You put out barely. This is the correct amount of paint to put out when you're watercoloring. You could even do a little less than this. This is for the show, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're just using a little extra there.
I'm going to just paint in my leaves. This, I'm just grabbing my pigment and I'm just pulling that in. I'm just come right here. I'm going to do a few of these and then I'm going to use a wash. Like a clean brush of water to pull these in. I may come around here and allow this to also have a little bit of darkness around it. And what I mean by that is like if I rinse this out right now and show you. And you can hear me vigorously rinsing, which means I'm trying to remove all the pigment. Now I'm just letting them pull in the center. Yeah. And the paint's finding its own way in. And there's maybe a little more pink. Just allowing that to just wash in. Just washing that in. Need a little more water there. Let it wash in. Because we're not trying to make very precision pieces. We're just loosely having a little watercolor moment. And that's what you want. And there's something really precious about very loose watercolor. I'm going to go ahead and get my yellow and my reds together again. As I paint the petals between, you'll see a really cool effect where things will bleed into each other a little bit and it will feel very expressive is the word I'm looking for. I don't know. Is that my word, babe?
I think so.
Okay. Is this interesting?
It's very interesting.
Do you have any questions? Like why you do it?
No, I think this is, I think that I get sort of wrapped up in just sort of like watching this go down, and like I think that I'm just sort of memorized by how like the paint, how it transfers the medium from the brush onto this in sort of these transparent layers.
Well, and I think that's key to think about is that it's about the transparency of it. Right? We have a lot of transparency here, and it allows for quite a lot to go on. I just sure that there's just a little bit. I don't know. I just want some texture, some thought, or something there. So the center of the flower is there, but it's not so. I don't know. And I'm just adding more color. How you do? More of the pure color on each of the petals. The quinacridone is really loaded. All the quinacridones are. In good company. And they're a good company. They have lots of load. I think I have that yet. It's a really great pigment.
It's just really pretty is what it is.
Yeah. So see, we've added that little extra dimension to our lily pad. I can even come in and get a little of my yellow. And let's get the marine and see if we can get a nice dark green now. More blue is a dark green. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of come around. Little edge here. Everything inside is very soft, right?
I was watching the top screen for a second.
You're watching the top screen?
I was just like there's two screens, so sometimes I'll be just like watching you and just like.
I'm pulling this in with my brush being dry, so I'm taking the wet paint and just pulling this in. See what I'm doing?
Oh yeah.
Just creating that depth and dimension and texture.
It really is cool.
Yeah, it's just a fun little effect. If I need more pigment, I can always go get it, but it's really fun to move this before it's completely, right. And then I'm going to get just a little of my paints and a little of my blue, and I'm going to make kind of like a shadow. And I think I'm going to want to give my flowers just a little bit of a shadow. I don't want too much pigment on there, but a little bit of a shadow under them. To show that this has got light on top and isn't completely. And I think I put the shadow stronger over here on the right hand side of the flower. You know, it's a little bit everywhere, but we want it to be strongest over here, so I'll get more pigment on over here, and so that way when I come with that, look how that bleeds out.
Oh yeah.
Just a little dimensionality on that side. Now that side has a little bit of that. I'm going to rinse out, and I'm going to get just a little bit of my Payne's Gray, and I'm going to come over this fin. And I'm going to come down to this one. Just sort of shaping that into the water so that we can feel that happening there. And even along this part of the spine, I'm going to come with a very light brush, and I'm going to just very lightly apply a very transparent little fin that's happening. Yes, a little transparent little fin. And I'm going to go ahead, and I think this one, I'm not going to worry too much about like hitting this with too much gouache.
It turned out really, really nice.
Yeah, I'm real happy with where it's at. And again, we're doing like, you know, these little sketches, and they're enjoyable and playful, and you can be playful and expressive with these little strokes in a very, very special way. I realized I didn't even use any of my burnt sienna. I thought I was going to use it in my green. So I guess I won't stick the material list. Have more of a plan. Make a little thread right here. Just make sure that these lines are maybe we just dot a little bit, maybe like little scale dot. They're right there. A little bit of little thought of scales. This is going to just keep softening, and I think that's what's super nice about this is the way that it'll just keep softening and continue here. We'll get into the burnt sienna now too. Woohoo! We had cause. We'll just make sure that there's this sort of darkening and little scaling over here. A little fellow on the side of the shadow. Into the red even. A little bit of that. I feel like I want to put some of these bright reds. And now see, I'm playing here is what happened. It could be done. I think neat. I just placed another layer. And see, it just gets more interesting, doesn't it?
It really does.
Now, a fun thing I'm going to do, or I feel like it's a fun thing. We'll see how it goes. See how it works out for me before you duplicate it, right?
All right.
Because I'm feeling like I want to do some really wet splashes. So see how I dipped in the water? I want to do some really wet splashing. There we go. I'm going to come right here and I'm going to get some of this wonderful red. And I'm also going to do some wet splashing because I think that would look pretty.
It does look pretty.
And then that's just very expressive, isn't it? It's just, it feels splashy. There's a feeling of water here. It was real light. It's a project you can do playfully right away. Understand that watercolors are kind of challenging until you get used to getting that load in your brush and knowing how the paint doesn't travel onto dry paper and how it does travel when the paper's wet. It doesn't take very long. You do 30 of these little free lessons here and you are going to be very confident in your watercolor. We're getting back really some positive response.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen some of those comments, right, John?
Oh yeah, and I've seen them coming back. I've seen the watercolors. They look so good.
Yeah, it's like the first one, you cannot judge your journey by the first stroke. You got to go in 3, 4.
Yep.
But now we're seeing the paintings come in. They're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea this was the most fun. Listen, I want to show you what's tomorrow. As a sneak peek, this is my reference. We're going to be doing an angel trumpet. Kind of goes with these colors. And that's great because you put them out. So in case you put out too much, you already have them. I want you guys to be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Realize you have more in you than you know. And we want to see you at the studio really soon.